Boom, this is the play that just occurred.
That's like she tries to slide over right there, and Hartley just kind of falls and makes collision with that lower leg. You see her immediately grab it. And she went down hard and was clearly in a lot of pain.
Sophie Cunningham suffered a right knee injury on this play, and despite the potential severity of the injury, a big conversation point around this is that the WNBA is not doing enough to protect the safety of their players.
Sophie Cunningham crumbles to the floor following a devastating knee-to-knee impact, and supporters across the nation, including her own relatives, are immediately pointing fingers at the referees for their failure to safeguard athletes.
It's very, very sad and unfortunate what has happened to Sophie Cunningham. Sophie Cunningham, let's be clear here. Sophie Cunningham was targeted. Let's be very, very clear here.
For countless fans, this represents yet another episode in what appears to be a troubling trend. The hazardous groin strike that benched Caitlin Clark. That notorious eye jab delivered by JC Sheldon. Marina Mabrey's reckless contact play. Every single encounter against Connecticut seems to end with someone from Indiana writhing in agony. Tensions are reaching a breaking point. However, rather than crumbling under pressure, the Fever demonstrated incredible resilience. With Kelsey Mitchell's explosive 38-point performance, Odyssey Sims stepping up through an emergency signing, and Lexi Hull nailing crucial three-pointers, Indiana orchestrated an incredible 99-93 overtime victory that nobody saw coming. The burning question remains, how did this squad flip the script after such a catastrophic opening half? If you're rallying behind Sophie and the Fever, drop your well wishes for her recovery in the comment section. Let's dive in.
Shot clock down to 6 for the Fever. Turner, up fade. Turner kicks it. Hull three-pointer. Bottom!
Indiana,
7 on the shot clock, 25 seconds in regulation.
they gotta get to the rim.
Charles has to hoist and connects. Wow. The Indiana Fever prove their resiliency.
Supporters aren't simply disappointed, they're absolutely livid. And frankly, their rage is completely justified. The league's marquee talents are becoming walking injury reports, and people are crying foul in every sense of the word.
She is so effective down low, and she can get a lot of people in foul trouble.
Are these incidents purely coincidental mishaps, or is the WNBA transforming into a competition where questionable tactics have become standard practice? Let's dissect this situation.
Game, Sophie Cunningham went down. It did not look good. I heard her saying no from the court. It was heartbreaking. I am hoping, this is the hope, that it is more of like a bruised knee type thing. There aren't many updates as of yet, but she will be getting an MRI. So hopefully we'll hear something tomorrow. But judging by the way that the WNBA, expands on injuries, it's probably not gonna be a lot. But
Sophie Cunningham, standing as one of Indiana's cornerstone players alongside Caitlin Clark, has become the newest victim in a campaign that's morphing into an emergency room log rather than a basketball showcase. Supporters anticipated intensity, fierce competition, perhaps even the occasional hard contact. What they never bargained for was a season where every other matchup results in someone hobbling to the sidelines, grabbing their knee, ankle, or whatever body part survived the encounter.
How does she magically lower her shoulder into Sophie Cunningham's legs? Can somebody please explain that to me? Can somebody please explain those physics? Again, don't want to hear it, because this is a dirty player.
This recent catastrophe speaks volumes. Sophie went down following contact with Connecticut's Bria Hartley. The visual alone told fans everything. This wasn't some minor bump or scrape. She grabbed her kneecap, signaling something potentially devastating. Whether it's a fracture or rupture, the message was clear. Season potentially finished. Watching it unfold felt like experiencing the same nightmare twice. Why? Sophie's already endured this nightmare scenario, 2 significant injuries this campaign, and incredibly, both occurring against the identical opponent, Connecticut.
We're dealing with a right knee injury for Cunningham, and this is going to be contact. Of course, the player for Connecticut is going to fall into the outside of her right knee, and what that's most likely going to do, we can't exactly see her foot position down here, but I think what this is causing is a forced valgus load from the outside of Cunningham's knee, pushing it inward. If we back this up a little bit, initially you can see how her right foot is pointed forward, and so any sort of impact is going to cause a hyperextension, pushing the knee backwards. But then as the play continues here, it looks like she initially picks up that right foot. We can see it start to move a little bit. That's going to start to rotate her body so that now when the Connecticut player comes in and lands on her, the force is coming in from the outside of the knee and pushing it inward. What this is going to do is potentially cause a number of injuries to the inner medial side of Cunningham's knee from this forced external valgus load.
What are the mathematical possibilities? Fans wasted zero time connecting these dots. This transcended mere bad fortune. It reeked of deliberate targeting. Here's the twisted irony. If someone wanted to script a terrible drama about women's basketball, reality has already written it. Caitlin Clark's debut season became defined by aggressive contact, questionable calls, and endless speculation about whether she was receiving veteran treatment or being systematically targeted. Just when people assumed tensions might settle during her sophomore campaign, Sophie Cunningham grabs headlines with what suspiciously resembles the league's newest trend. Who's getting sidelined next? Supporters have every right to be furious. These injuries aren't merely devastating for Indiana, they're poison for the WNBA's reputation. The Fever represent the league's golden goose, their ratings magnet, their financial engine.
The video, but Sophie Cunningham was flat out targeted by a dirty, dirty player. And if y'all go to my video last night, you will see me saying, watch out for Bria Hartley because she's a dirty ass player. And boy, did it show up again today.
Caitlin Clark packed arenas to capacity. Sophie provided that raw competitive fire. Together, they gave Indiana something special to champion. But what remains when fans witness body counts instead of basketball brilliance? Bria Hartley, the player involved in Sophie's collision, carries baggage. This isn't some anonymous bench player accidentally bumping into someone. She's earned a reputation for questionable play. She's yanked Angel McCoughtry by the hair. Multiple ejections dot her record. When fans witnessed her plowing through Sophie's knee, the immediate reaction wasn't sympathy. It was, here goes Bria again. Some argue it was unintentional. Even the most frustrated supporters acknowledge that possibility. However, here's the crucial point. Intent becomes irrelevant when patterns emerge. Connecticut has cultivated a certain reputation. Indiana has targets painted on their backs. When these elements collide, nobody extends benefit of the doubt. People are exhausted from dismissing these incidents as just basketball, because basketball shouldn't mean players spend more time in rehabilitation than on hardwood. This situation exposes a fundamental problem: referee incompetence. The officials in this league appear completely lost most of the time. They'll call technical fouls for eye rolls, but somehow allow knees to get demolished without whistles. They pretend to control games through quick technical calls while permitting dangerous contact to slide. When emotions run high and referees lose control, chaos follows. Chaos breeds injuries. And here we stand again. Consider the media response differences. When Caitlin Clark absorbs a hard foul, the coverage explodes instantly. Op-ed pieces, heated debates, demands for investigations. Sophie Cunningham carries significant name recognition, but not quite at that level. You can already observe the coverage disparity. Less outrage, fewer analytical pieces, more collective shrugging. That's precisely why fans are seething. They watch stars getting picked off systematically while the league basically rolls its eyes and moves forward. The WNBA dreams of audience expansion. Injuring marketable athletes represents the fastest route to burning everything down. Sophie isn't just any player. She's a passionate competitor, fan favorite, embodying the gritty determination Indiana supporters adore. When she goes down twice in one season against the same opponent, it transcends personal setback. It symbolizes everything broken about the league's approach to physical play. Social media erupted following this injury. Terms like disgraceful, dirty, and finished with this league flew around like celebration confetti. Caitlin Clark's name inevitably resurfaces because, whether she appreciates it or not, she's the league's primary attraction. Every discussion about injuries, fouls, and physical play circles back to her presence. She never requested that spotlight, but it's hers now. Fans are beginning to categorize Sophie's injury alongside the broader issue: the WNBA's failure to protect its marquee talents. This isn't purely about safety, it's about revenue. Injuries like this destroy ratings, kill momentum, rob the league of compelling storylines. Fever-Sun matchups were supposed to be must-see television. Instead, they've become reminders of who's still standing. The WNBA already faces criticism for inadequate star marketing, insufficient rivalry development, and struggles expanding viewership. Losing Sophie Cunningham, even temporarily, adds fuel to that fire. How do you market a product when your most valuable assets are unavailable? Supporters are starting to joke, if you can call it humor, that playing Indiana resembles a demolition derby. Who's next on the injury list? Who's going down? Will referees actually intervene? Or will the WNBA wait until Caitlin Clark herself gets carried off before deciding maybe they should enforce regulations? Sophie Cunningham's injury represents part of a larger narrative: the WNBA's ongoing inability to manage its own league's physicality properly. Every sport cultivates its identity. The NBA showcases flash and scoring. The NFL delivers hard hits. Hockey embraces fights. The WNBA currently is carving out a bizarre reputation, reckless physicality that consistently sidelines its stars. That's not an identity you want while attempting growth. Nobody purchases tickets to observe empty benches. Nobody tunes in to watch star players wearing medical equipment. If you're a player, young or veteran, how do you trust that the league supports you? How do you trust referees who ignore dangerous contact? How do you invest in a system where the dirtiest reputations continue playing without consequences? Bria Hartley's name keeps surfacing for legitimate reasons. Fans aren't fabricating these concerns. She's accumulated incidents previously. When players develop such reputations, leagues typically respond in two ways: clean it up or embrace it. The WNBA appears to be shrugging. That shrug is becoming lethal. Consider the psychological effect on the Fever locker room. Caitlin Clark already knows she's targeted for every aggressive foul imaginable. Kelsey Mitchell has faced her share of confrontations. Aaliyah Boston has been banged up. Now Sophie Cunningham's knee is destroyed. How do you enter games thinking about basketball when you're secretly wondering if you're next? That's not competition. That's survival mode. Survival isn't entertainment. The double standard becomes more apparent. Caitlin Clark's name dominates headlines whenever she's fouled. Sophie Cunningham receives less attention. Fans notice this imbalance, creating toxic atmosphere where players feel expendable unless they're the biggest marquee name. That's terrible business strategy because Sophie Cunningham is marketable. She's fiery, scrappy, exactly the personality type fans gravitate toward. But how do you market someone in street clothes? How do you promote rivalry when half the participants are rehabilitating? Indiana represents the WNBA's financial engine currently. Caitlin Clark transformed them into appointment television. Networks compete to broadcast their games. Sponsors are lining up. Yet what's the actual product? Injuries, blowouts, frustration. The WNBA has the perfect opportunity to capitalize on unprecedented attention, instead demonstrating they cannot protect the stars who generated that attention initially. It's like inviting guests to a celebration and serving contaminated food. Sure, people showed up, but good luck securing return visits. Other leagues make adjustments. They review questionable plays, suspend repeat offenders, adapt rules protecting their stars. The WNBA feels like they're awaiting a memo saying, perhaps allowing knee destruction isn't profitable. The Connecticut Sun aren't helping their cause either. Their reputation is becoming synonymous with dirty play. Even if Hartley's collision was accidental, fans don't believe it. Perception matters tremendously. Once people consider you dirty, every fall appears intentional. Every collision seems suspicious. That's exactly Connecticut's current position. Basketball's villain everyone loves despising. The WNBA needs antagonists. Rivalries generate revenue. Controversy sells tickets. The problem emerges when your villains are sidelining players for entire seasons. The product stops being entertaining and becomes disturbing. This explains why people suggest Caitlin should sit out the remaining season. If the league won't protect her, perhaps she must protect herself. Honestly, it's not the most unreasonable suggestion. Imagine the chaos if Clark simply announced, "No more, I'm finished until the WNBA addresses these issues. Would it hurt short term? Absolutely. But maybe that's the wake-up call the league requires. Here's our current situation. Sophie Cunningham likely sidelined, Caitlin Clark once again centered in controversy, and the WNBA appearing clueless about solutions. Fans are enraged, players are limping, and the league's reputation hangs by a thread. The question remains, is this simply terrible luck or something more sinister? What's your take on this situation? Are these genuine accidents or evidence of a deeper problem? Share your thoughts below, smash that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more coverage of this developing story.